Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Okay, so here I am. We're live. Thought I'd just check in and talk with everybody. I mean, I see a lot of stuff out there, a lot of talk on social media, a lot of stuff. Thought it'd be a good time to remind everybody. Remember, it's rough in those lulls. You know, people want to feel like they're doing something. You know, and when there's nothing happening, sometimes it gets a little bit, sketchy or, So anyways, reminding everybody, hey, look, it's happening now. It's going to be like we found out from Tracy. We're looking at about 20 days from the day of from the issuance of the decision. 20 days are roughly for the record to make its way back to this Court of Appeals. And then at the point it arrives there, it's going to be a 40-day deadline for KZ to file her motion with the Court of Appeals based on all of the material. That includes the original motion for post-conviction relief, which Travis and I have covered a great deal of. That will also cover the CD, which was remanded back to the circuit court, and that will also involve now the bones and the violation of statute and the bones being given back to the hall box. So we'll talk about some of that today. I think I'll talk, to you guys and maybe answer a few questions as well if there's any. But I've had a pretty rough weekend myself. It's been pretty wild, but I ultimately was successful. Was having to spend a lot of money, but finally got my car to get the check engine light off, and so I was able to get it smogged and do all those sort of things. So, but it was rough. So I finally got there. I mean, I've replaced virtually every sensor on it and everything in it, but it's funny anyway. So now that's pretty much ready to go. So that was an ordeal. That's why I wasn't around so much. But I did want to talk about this decision from Judge Angie. I mean, there's a couple things that really, really stand out to me. Obviously, Tracy points out, the big thing that Tracy was pointing out is that basically Judge Sukowitz is making her own determinations where she should have been holding a hearing and having people come up on the stand and actually answer. But instead, she was drawing her own conclusions, and so that's where Tracy was actually had a bone to pick with Judge Angie in a lot of ways. For me, it was I felt her argument was very flimsy and strange in the sense that she was so insistent on the fact that Leslie Eisenberg said at trial that none of the bones from the quarry or the gravel pit were deemed human bones. Now, it's my opinion that was offered as it couldn't be ruled, specifically or, undeniably. But you could tell maybe she had some suspicion that they were. And you know why she probably had that suspicion, folks? This is my thought, because why did she deem like all the little bits of bone that were at the Manitowoc County gravel pit as human in her early reports and stuff like that, right? Why did she do that? But the hip bone, the pelvic bone, the bone which was relatively unburned and clean, she deemed that one was possible human. So what do you think maybe was a kind of a big factor of her thinking that those other bones besides the pelvic bone were human? Because I think I know why. Proceedings, yeah. I'm happy they're going back to this Court of Appeals. Yeah, so remember, the Court of Appeals wasn't too... they didn't think too much of the procedurally barred argument. And I think Judge Sukowitz knew that. She was aware of that. And I think that's why she went ahead and tried to do it this way, where she is attempting to deny it on its merits. But yet she's drawing some of her own conclusions. So, getting back to my question. So what reasoning can we use to suppose why Leslie Eisenberg thought that some of those bones over in the Manitowoc County gravel pit were human? I'll tell you why. Here's why. It's because they were burned to the exact same degree of calcination as the bones in the burn pit. I believe that is the main reason why she thought those were human bone, because she couldn't imagine something being burned in two separate fires to the exact same level of calcination. You understand? Right? So that's, to me, I believe why she reasoned that way. I believe that same reasoning is what led Fallon and Gahn to give those bones back to the Halbachs. They weren't giving animal bones back. They knew they weren't giving the Halbachs animal bones. That's only the ridiculous excuse they're offering now in their argument, because they know they've been caught. Right? So yeah, now it's animal bones. And you have Judge Angie putting her rubber stamp on that. Yeah, no big deal. They give them animal bones. It's like, where is the reality in this? You know, where reality is like, whoa. Anyway, all right, let's look at the comments. While I am frothing about Judge Suck's decision, I am happy they're going back to the COA. Of course, to me, I thought they had to keep them to be able to test new DNA, always coming out, and isn't giving them only human bones back, saying it was TH. Well, that's what I mean. They're going... So, okay. So, to get to the heart of this decision, what she's saying is, what Judge Suk is saying is that at trial, Eisenberg testified that none of those bones were human. However, the DAs in this case, the prosecutors in this case, they read all of her prior reports prior to her testimony at trial, and they knew all the bones that she thought were probably human from the quarry. But they didn't want anybody talking about that, because they didn't want the jury finding out about those bones and questioning too much about why those bones would be there, because they knew that would be bad for their case. And that's why Ken Kratz says, I'm only going to spend 20 seconds on those. Right? It shows us that the state feared this information, that they feared it would hurt their case. And so that is why they would hide what they did. No repercussions for the state failing to notify every... Yeah, well, not yet anyway. No repercussions yet. We'll have to see how this all ends up rolling out. But so there's that, where she's basically trying to establish that, well, Dr. Eisenberg's testimony at trial is that there were no human bones out in the quarry or in the Manitowoc County gravel pit. That is the expert's opinion. That is the facts in this case. And so therefore, and I gotta say, I feel like this is a disingenuous attempt on her part to downplay the importance of the officials involved in giving these bones back, because she says, and whatever an individual law enforcement officer thinks is not necessarily reasonable, and therefore doesn't meet the standard of Youngblood or whatever, is how she was reasoning it, right? Basically saying that it's like, almost like if she's trying to give the illusion that it was just like a couple of, Dudley deputies, that were doing this. But we're not talking. We're talking about two of the prosecutors on this case, one of whom was the assistant district attorney of the state of Wisconsin. So we're not just talking about some Dudley deputies here. And I felt that was a disingenuous attempt on her part, honestly, to downplay the importance of the officials involved in giving these bones back. These are the two guys that would know the most about this case, because they prosecuted it. Right? No repercussions for the state. 2 buckets that were by the burn pit were not there when the first pictures were taken. Let's see here. Everything she does is disingenuous. So, hey Denise, how's it going? Hello, Rhonda. I see Truth Monster. Hello, Truth Monster. Sean, how's it going, guys? Mary Lee White, how are you? Lorraine Bell, hello. Hey, Millbilly, how's it going, buddy? Zelma's here, which gives me the chance to talk about this cool shirt, right? This is a shirt designed by Wrecking Crew member Zelma. It was actually designed by her daughter. And I tell you what, they made this for me and they wore these out to rally out in Manitowoc. And they brought me one, and I tell you what, I love this shirt. I just love its design, everything about it. I love it just as much as I love the official Wrecking Crew Rally t-shirt. I dig this shirt so much. So thank you so much for this, Zelma. And that's what I'm wearing today, folks, just so you know. The special Wrecking Crew Rally shirt designed for me by Wrecking Crew member Zelma. And actually, the design credit goes to her daughter. So, hello, Maggie. Hey, Crockett. That blue makes your eyes pop. Yeah, well, my blue eyes they do pop when I wear certain colors of blue. So this must be one of them flattering ones, right? So we started out by talking about Judge Angela, and we talked about how she was establishing that Eisenberg's testimony at trial was none of the bones in the gravel pit or the Manitowoc, or in the quarry or in the Manitowoc County gravel pit were human. So therefore, that's it. That's facts the case. Boom. That's it. That's done. Boom. So whatever whatever some individual law enforcement of officers, thought or did or whatever, doesn't classify, doesn't constitute reasonable assumption or reasonable doesn't create a reasonable chance that there was something that they knew what was going on. Basically, I don't know. To me, it's spurious and hard to follow, really, her reasoning, because the fact of the matter is, these are not just, like I was saying, some Dudley deputies that were doing this. We're talking about the assistant district attorney, who was also one of the prosecutors, and Norm Gahn, the guy who wrote the statute that they were busy hiding what they did so that they wouldn't be found in violation of it. So that's who we're talking about here. We're not just talking about some Dudley deputies. Now, the other part of it is the way she argues that, because Zellner argues that the fact that they gave these bones back to the family is basically is pretty much an admission that they are the remains of Teresa. That's essentially what Zellner is saying. And so what Judge Sukowicz is saying is no. That these couple of law enforcement officers, their opinion doesn't necessarily speak for everybody. That type of situation. And then this all ends up leading to this point where she just basically says, so yeah, if the state gave the grieving family animal bones, that doesn't mean anything, essentially. That was just, to me, beyond, really. Hi, Julie. How's it going? So, all right. And that's, for me, this is how I can really seriously question Judge Angie Sukowitz's, intent at getting at the truth. Because I honestly, after reading this decision, think the truth is not something she's considering or caring to consider. And it was like it's like, I honestly haven't gotten a chance to go check out Tracy's videos yet. That's how busy I've been, and I haven't been able to just, I haven't been able to go and watch them yet, but I've been hearing about them. I was able to spend some time on Twitter and whatever. I was able to kind of get some conversations. I know some of the things she was saying. I think she's right in the fact that Judge Sukowitz in this decision is drawing her own conclusions, in a lot of ways, and that's really not what's supposed to happen. It's particularly in a situation like this when it's been remanded for fact finding. The Court of Appeals, by design, isn't asking for the judge to, come up with their own best guess at what happened. They ask for a hearing so that they could get some fact finding on it. They didn't want the judge's reasoning. So I can agree with that, and that's one of the things that Tracy's picking out here. So I agree with it. Have the Hallbox or anyone associated with them spoken out about these bones? I would assume some reporters are dying to swarm them. Yeah, Millbilly uploaded a couple things in the last couple days, so if you guys want to go check this out, he's been uploading a lot of the dispatch calls. In all honesty, what is the likelihood that SA will get a new trial or conviction overturned, and what does that mean for Brendan? Well, I still think that he has a good chance because Kathleen Zellner is his lawyer, and I just think it's a matter of time. She's going to continue to browbeat the state of Wisconsin about this, and eventually it's gonna eventually pay off, in my opinion. But that's my feeling on it. It's just too much. It's it's like our good friend of the channel here, Fen, who's going to be starting her own little podcast pretty soon. But it's like when she did her thing of her little thing on Twitter of hashtag 80 more things, based off of the Stacy song. It really matters when he says at the end, I could go on listing things off, hashtag 80 more things, right? And so Finn took that and did 80 days on Twitter where she posted a new thing, a different thing each day of things that are fishy or point at corruption or point at Avery's innocence or Brendan's and whatever. And so hashtag 80 more things. When you have that kind of situation going on, there's a lot to question. And so it makes the official silence regarding this in Wisconsin all the more suspect. So yeah, because there's plenty here that's fishy as hell. Dean and Jerry had Eisenberg earlier reports, are you humans? Why didn't Dean ask her on the stand about her change of mind? I don't know, but hindsight's 20/20. I could say that. Let's see. Dean and Jerry did not have a lot of stuff. Let's see here. I haven't been on because there has been no news. Yeah, well, now there is a little news. So, anyway. So it really comes down to Judge Angie. And another thing, Judge Angie took quite a bit of this decision, the time on this decision, to talk about the motion to recuse, right? And it's like, really has nothing to do with anything. She knows that it wasn't the right time for it. It wasn't really the proper time, but obviously she could recuse herself at any time, but she doesn't. And then she writes a decision like this where she's basically saying that Tom Fallon and Norm Gahn are just Dudley deputies, and and giving the grieving family animal bones is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly fine. I honestly can't believe she actually let this leave her office. Personally, it's like, yeah, putting a rubber stamp on that, I guess, giving a grieving family animal bones. But then again, guys, it also shows us that for all their talk about caring about the victim's family, it's like, no, not really. This proves that the Hallbachs now are just like the Hostettlers, Ricky Hostetler's mom and countless other people in Wisconsin who didn't get proper justice, didn't get law enforcement giving a crap about what they were going through. Certainly Debbie Hochstetler didn't. James Link lied to her and told her that he had contacted DCI about Ricky's case, and they said that there was nothing they could do to help. When she had called to check on that, she found out she was the first one ever contacting them regarding the case. So James Link had lied to her. That's the way I see these officers treating victims' families. And I think now the Hallbachs are starting to find out that they're getting the same treatment. It's all about these officers serving their own agenda. Sad. It truly is sad. Did Sucks even address the issue of recusing her? She did. She spent like 2 or 3 pages on it. It was a weak point. Wisconsin didn't adopt the ABA recommendation, so she really didn't have a reason to recuse herself. Nothing in history is bad. This case is one of a kind. Yeah. Unlawful and dirtiest ever. Yeah. Erekose, I'm not sure the state gave Dean and Jerry the report re the Bones gravel pit being human. It could be. I wouldn't be one bit surprised that they held back yet another thing. That would not surprise me at all. Not even a little. So like I said, that's where we're at. I mean, I think it was a interesting decision. I personally think it was, I don't know. I think it's problematic, personally. I can't wait to see what the Court of Appeals ends up thinking of it. It's just bizarre to me, like, the other thing that kills me is that Judge Sukowitz is referring to the fact that these officers, these law enforcement officers, are referring to earlier reports of Leslie Eisenberg. Now, I had somebody else on my video, I think on the comments last night, telling me I had said the first. I never said any such thing. I don't know which document they were working from myself. And that's what everybody's saying. Nobody knows what document they were working from. Nobody knows that. The only way to have been able to know that would be to have called one of the guys that was there and asked them, which documents were you working from? That would have allowed more fact-finding in this, which is what the Court of Appeals was asking for. Right? So it's things like that are going to pile up here. And I have a feeling the Court of Appeals is going to be like, they're not even taking this. I think they're going to have a bone with the fact that this isn't even be taken seriously by the circuit court. Like, what are they going to think when they read it and go, we're just fine with giving the victim's family animal bones, and we didn't do any of the fact finding that was asked for. I mean, I'm wondering if that's the way the Court of Appeals is going to look at it. So, hey Georgina, how you doing? Hello Christine Dempsey. There are cases 100 times worse than this case, both in Wisconsin and in many, many other states. I'm sure there is, Trav. I'm sure there is, buddy. Scott Davis in Georgia, folks. That's a real shite show there. So she spent more time on defending herself than she spent on SA's motion. Not more time. It was a 12-page decision, so But it was like, I think it was like 2 or 3 pages talking about the recusal. They fought to protect TV's family, yet the disrespect they have shows them in the most appalling way I have ever seen. The Hallbox, in my opinion, have every right to sue them. Yeah, you can't help but wonder what the Hallbox are thinking about all this at this point, where they see the state and now a judge asserting the argument that they've been given animal bones. Right? So, I gotta imagine that doesn't sit well with them. Especially when they know their neighbors are hearing that same thing. Right? Can't blame Zellner for that. Those are the actions of the agents of the state. So, I know it's, on the other side of the fence, they're just quick to say it's all Zellner's fault. Zellner's stalling. Zellner this, Zellner that. But, look, Zellner didn't choose to give herself the CD after the motion for post-conviction relief was denied. I think they also didn't expect the Court of Appeals to remand it, but the Court of Appeals did. Okay? And it wasn't Zellner that chose to give these bones back and hold back all the paperwork and fail to contact Avery's counsel at the time and let them know what they were doing. That wasn't Zellner's decision. That isn't her fault. So for people that keep wanting to say that this is all Zellner's fault, no. The agents of the state of Wisconsin here are going to have to be big boys and big girls. And they're going to have to own their actions. That's what's going to happen. Minimum required by law is a week. Should recuse herself. Hinda Sound checking in. Hey, Hinda Sound. Let's see. Would you call me Kose? Would you call me Kose? Christine Dempsey? What are you asking me exactly? That's a big swear. So, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, honestly, I personally think the decision is bizarre. I mean, and I know it's like Tracy said, she just feels that, Judge Sukowitz, instead, in places where it showed that a hearing was necessary, instead of just deciding to have a hearing, she went ahead and used her own imagination, her own reasoning, to kind of fill in gaps. And that's where Tracy was saying, that's where she wasn't acting like a judge. And so if she's not acting like a judge, that increases the chances of the Court of Appeals seeing and having a problem with it. So hopefully we're headed to a place where this is finally going to get looked at for real. Right? That's why you have an evidentiary hearing, so they could ask them, what document are you working from under oath? Exactly like Travis just said, like I was saying earlier. That's why you have an evidentiary hearing. Instead, what happened in this decision is Judge Sukowitz was just basically inserting her own reasoning of, it was some report from before trial, but it doesn't matter because her testimony at trial was this. And that is what that's how Judge Angela sidesteps that issue. By just saying, it doesn't matter because at trial, this is what she said. But yet we have these guys working from an older report of hers. and where the bones that are classified as human in these older reports are the ones that are burned to the same level of calcination as the ones in the Avery burn pit. That's why they're important, and I believe that's why Dr. Leslie Eisenberg thought that they were human bones, because she found it probably hard to believe that bones burned to the same exact level of degree of calcination would have been created in two separate fires. She feels it was probably made more sense that they started together in one fire that burned them all to pretty much the approximately same level of calcination. Then some were probably moved. But that's what I think. But the point is that she feels that those had to be part of that batch because the same degree of calcination, right? That's the interesting thing there. And I believe that's why she was classifying those ones as human, and that's why I believe she said that the pelvic bone was possible human, because I think she saw the fact that it was relatively unburned and clean, and so she had trouble believing that it was in the same fire as the rest of the bones, right? So maybe that's why she thought that one was possible human, because it wasn't burned to the same degree of calcination as all the other bones, right? Maybe that's how she was kind of helping herself make that determination, right? Ordinarily, when you have somebody who's not biased, like Judge Angie is, you would actually have an evidentiary hearing, kind of like what you see in the staircase, right? You would have a hearing, and in the staircase, David Rudolph was able to get back in, and he made an appeal, and they were able to get back in there because Dwayne Devers had been being discredited in other cases, and people were, wrongfully convicted man had been already released because of something Devers had done. And so that's how David Rudolph was able to get his foot back in the door with Michael Peterson. And they had that little hearing where David Rudolph called witnesses, and he questioned them about the science of Deaver, and these were witnesses that are well respected and stuff, and they basically countered many of the things that Devers was saying, and that's how Michael Peterson ended up getting released from prison, awaiting new trial. But then Durham drugged their feet on it. They drugged their feet on it for so long that Michael ended up being the longest person ever, I think, in the state's history on the ankle bracelet. And the girl that came to remove it even made a comment when she removed it and was leaving. She's like, wow, I never had to remove her bracelet that's been on that long before. They were dragging their feet on it because, why? Well, because they knew the case was bogus. There's a lot of reasons why. A lot of reasons why. But anyway, that's that case. But that's how it happens. They have an evidentiary hearing. At the end of that hearing, Judge Orlando, what's his name? Brown, I think it is. He felt that David Rudolph and Michael Peterson had met the burden, that they had proven that Dwayne Devers tainted the case with his fallible science. And so therefore he got a new trial. So that's the way it works. And that's what it's supposed to work like most of the time. But clearly Judge Angie has an issue. Clearly Judge Angie is protecting people. I mean, it's the only reason I can understand for her making a decision where she basically says it's perfectly fine that the state gave a grieving family animal bones. Right? If the Hallbox entered in here to find justice for at least Teresa, what could they do? Legally, in aspects of proving no more human bones remain, they never checked them all, did they? No. A decision isn't worth the paper it was printed on. What is the point of the remand to the circuit court? Nothing happens. Talking one-on-one. Okay, Christine, what would you like to talk about? You can in Discord. Travis, your mission, if you choose to accept it, move to Wisconsin, run against her, get the bench, and run this. I like it, Martha. I like it. Let's see here. Yes, Rhonda. Interest well thought out Reddit post, whereas KZ baited AS into going on about the bones being human, but it was irrelevant because the issue was biological evidence, not whether it was human. Hi Christine, what's up? You want to talk to me? Okay, I'm here. Angie sucks in now on record with all her nonsense and bias, right? Well, go to Discord and do so. Christine Dempsey. Yeah. Oh, I was trying to help someone else at Erekose. Oh, okay. Is Hillcrest still a suspect? Is Hillcrest? You mean Hillegas? I haven't ruled anybody out yet. Zellner has. She alludes to the fact that she's ruled him out. So the issue is preserved for the Court of Appeals. Otherwise, it would have been waived. Can I pass you my number? Hey, Christine, I am. Check it out. My email is right in the information below the video. Send me an email or something, and I'll have a chat with you, and we'll see what's going on at that point. Does that work for you? Hello, Sheila. In response to Linda K, like I said, send me an email. I'm not about to try to work this out right now while I'm live, so like I said, send me an email. If I'm not making myself clear, basically somewhere besides here right now. Are we all clear on that? May reasonably be used to exculpate is the key here. Yeah, that's true, and it's like I said, we're gonna have to see how the Court of Appeals likes Judge Angie's interpretation. I think that's going to be interesting to see. See if we've got anything serious here. He's still a suspect under Denny, correct, Travis? Yes. She alluded, though. I mean, the only reason I said that's why I used the word alluded, was because in like MAM2, she alluded to the fact that she felt there was maybe a high probability that he could just come in and explain things, and he probably wouldn't be a suspect anymore, like similar to the way Josh Redant had done. So, but yes, technically he is still a suspect for Denny purposes. It is all about let's see, I was joking. Read what I told her. No. No worries, guys. No worries. Just see. Well, Bobby Dassey and Scott Taddock are certainly Zellner's favorite suspects at the moment. Absolutely. I think Travis Williamson would look more handsome in that black robe. Boy, what a cartoonist could do with that one. What did the Hallbox do with the bones? I believe they were buried. We asked that question before, and I think it ultimately was, the answer was they had been buried. Teresa does have a headstone. Do we know if the Hallbox received the bones? Yes, they. From what I understand, they were buried, but it was all handled by Whiting Funeral Home. But they were buried with her remains from that were given back in whatever it was, 2008 or whatever it was. Anyway, they were buried. So. That's my opinion too, Kathy. Didn't Mike Hallbach meet Denny as well? No. No. Although he has said some humdinger things, but no, he's never been Denny. Let's see. I agree. Then RH found the car and the extra key. Let's go magnet fishing in the creek. I bet we'd find those keys then. Let's see. Me too. All I know is a place in the church cemetery. Does anyone know what is going on with the AC lawsuit? I think we're still waiting on the court to rule on the motion filed by Netflix and the filmmakers' lawyers. Basically, it was a motion to dismiss, so we're waiting to see what happens with that. If that doesn't happen, then there's going to be depositions, and that would get really interesting. The whole thing with AC. Andrew Colburn. We don't know for sure. That is what Evidentiary hearing would have fleshed out. Exactly. So, oh yeah, you guys went and saw the head son. That's right. The ladies got to go do that on Sunday while Mr. Capaldi and I were over in Nina at Eagle Nation Cycles. The ladies went and they were cow whispering. You guys got to go check out the videos from it. Man, there were some really funny, brilliant videos that got made while the wrecking crew was in Manitowoc. So go over to Denise Rainey's channel and check those out because they are hilarious. Capaldi's dance party with Ali Apperson is probably the best. I think that's a two-parter. I think at even one point you even get to see me doing Gangnam Style. So, is that to look forward to? Anyways, no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, no, it was a lot of good fun at Raleigh. So if you want to go check out that, but they did, when I say cow whispering, you'll see what I mean. Go check out that video. It's really funny stuff. So yeah. There you go. Thank you, Denise Rainey. Has the Hallbach ever been asked about the bones? It would be creepy to think they were animal bones. Absolutely right, James. It would be, wouldn't it? And the state has been telling you all this time, especially when they were defending themselves going through Brendan's, trek through the federal courts, right? How they kept saying, oh, they had the victim's family. They were concerned about the victim's family. That's what they cared about. That was what they cared about. That was all that they cared about. Blah, 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 right? Are you feeling that now? Really? Now that they're saying they probably gave him animal bones? Are you feeling that they really give a crap about the victim's family now? Are we buying that now? Right? They didn't do any tipping. No tipping was involved, Maggie. Oh, dope. Yeah, he challenged me to a dance off, but then him and Ali started dancing, and he was showing her all the different steps and all that sort of stuff. It was a lot of fun. And man, he kept drinking. That guy, he's got like a hollow leg. Seriously, that guy. I mean, and then dude drank like a fish, right? And then the next morning I got up and I had to make chorizo and egg for Julie and her son Cody. And so I got up and did that, and by the time I was done making the chorizo and egg, I went to go, because I had to share a bathroom a Jack and Jill bathroom in the place where we were staying with them. And by the time I was headed back to the bathroom, Paul was already up and was in there taking a shower. I was like, how the hell is this guy even conscious yet? Holy crud. Dude polished off almost every bit of freaking liquor that Denise brought. And Denise brought a lot of liquor. Holy crud, you should have seen the Jello shots that Linda brought the first night. Oh my God, dude. I think there was maybe tiny bit of Jello in those things. And this much vodka or something. Something potent. It was something else. Paul was awesome. I love Paul. And that night was great. And it was fun watching Allie, because you could tell she was just having fun learning the steps. And so every time he was ready to teach her a new step, she was just like lighting up, like, oh yeah, let's learn a new one. And you know, it was such a fun thing. You know, it was really, really a lot of fun. And like I said, you guys can go check those out over on Denise's channel. It's awesome. So we were having a lot of fun, and it was great. And those Jello shots, man, those things were deadly. Holy crud, man. Whew. They're good, though. But still, we were getting pretty hammered that first night. I had to back off and go. I had to switch to I think Paul had gotten some Milwaukee's Best ice. So I was actually switching over, and I was drinking that just so I wouldn't get hammered on those Jello shots. Holy crud, man. Linda makes those things. She's not messing around. She do not mess around. Jello free shots. So anyways, that was a lot of fun the Wrecking Crew had over there in Manitowoc when we were there to show our support for Stephen and Brendan back in June. You know, and so we had a lot of fun, obviously, and that was the second night we were there at Rally House, little house we rented right on the lake of right on the shore of Lake Michigan there. And yeah, it was a great time, and you know, hopefully we'll all be there again real soon for some kind of evidentiary hearing. Hopefully the Court of Appeals will be making a decision that will bring us all back there sometime next year to be able to go and sit in the courtroom and listen to the evidentiary hearing take place, possibly, huh? That'd be cool, wouldn't it? So maybe, hopefully that might be where we're headed. So, make Jello shots with Everclear. Hey, dude, they were great. I only needed about, you know, I think when I first got there I had 2, and then about maybe 2 hours later I had another 2, and I had just been moderately drinking my beer in between, and like I was sailing, man, on those Jello shots. I was sailing pretty good. So anyway. And the first night we were there, we had Carla Chase, we had Tracy Struncy was there. I mean, it was, yeah. We had I think Rick Mahler was there at one point. Mark Hodnott, I believe, was there that night. It was, yeah, and man, we were having a blast. So it was something else. We had Linda, obviously, there. We had her friend Wanda was there. Denise, Allie. You know, that first night Julie wasn't there yet. Julie Pom Pom wasn't there yet. But anyway, that was a great time. You know, so much fun with so many fun people. You know, it's that trip will stick with me just like the trip to Australia. You know, to go hang out with, you know, my good buddies Mark and Paul and Stacy. I mean, it's these last 2 trips were really memorable trips that I feel so great have been able to go and be a part of them and meet the great people that I got to meet, and have the fun and do the really fun things that we got to do. Just really rewarding experiences, and I hope they continue. I hope we all continue to support, and that we're all able to get together again and do these sort of things more often. Gummies, yeah. Love to hear KZ present her case. Ah, yeah. Unfortunately, to do that, we got to get the new trial, which is kind of what she's trying to do, is get to that new trial. So, hopefully, one of these days. So, all right. I think we've covered a couple of the issues I had with that particular decision. Really, for me, the biggest logical, issues with it. She clearly knows they're working off of a report from before her trial testimony, yet she's saying that doesn't matter because her trial testimony was that there was no human bone in the quarry or the gravel pit. So anyway, and then obviously the whopper of, and it doesn't really matter that the state gave the grieving family, animal bones. That doesn't matter, and that's just shocking. So, all right. Hey T1, sorry buddy, didn't know you were even coming back actually, but you can definitely, everybody's just talking about Jello shots and gummies now. I never should have brought it up, so sorry about that, but you can go back and watch the video, T1. I had a lot to say, a lot of good things to say, and so feel free to go back and watch it and let me know what you think there. So if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you